Hey guys, Ryan, Feathers Elite Pigeon Auctions. There in the screen in the monitor, as you see to the left, Josh May to the right, Darren May Pigeons. Guys, I want to thank you for joining us. What I want to know is the state of pigeon racing in the UK. How is it going? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Is it needs to be improvements? What do you guys think? Darren, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, pigeon racing in the UK, I think, has gone backwards over the years. There's uh, there's very little money put into the sport now to obviously try and entice young people into the sport. I mean, I was lucky enough back in the 90s to win a car in a race, one of the national races, when we were second open with 12,000 pigeons. Now there's no cars to be won. There's no incentive for young people to join the sport. I mean, Josh obviously goes to college and obviously off to university, and it's yourself the first thing that people asked him at college is, "What do you win?" Most young people now want to be, obviously footballers, or they want to be some sort of sportsman where that they're in a different realm with Ferraris and pop stars on their arm. And in the pigeon sport, there's nothing like that no more. I mean, the sport's obviously sort of diminishing every year, So I think that the sport needs to be brought forward into the 21st century, and most sports that over the years have evolved. Snooker in the UK, darts. Before they was playing for very little money. Now they're playing for £1 million on a Thursday evening. But it's the pigeon sport's gone back the other way. I mean, I think Josh sort of reiterate that about obviously the guys at his college and what they say.
Yeah, when I go to college, they're always, if I mention it, they're always the first thing that they ask is, "What do you win, and how much does it cost to do it?" And when it costs you maybe, I don't know, £25 for a bag of corn plus your additives to send to the birds to the race, you're talking 40, £50 a week, and most people can't afford that. When if you won a federation race, I think you get £17. So you're down £33 straight away if you won the federation. It's sort of like a money pit. You just keep throwing money into it and you don't get anything out of it for winning the races. And I think that there needs to be that incentive for young people to join it, to think, know what, I don't have to go to work. I could win £1,000 this week by just sending my pigeons.
Right. And it was funny here. I'm in Belgium talking to you guys, and I was walking down the street and I was doing a Facebook Live, and I don't know, it was 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And a gentleman with his girlfriend, same age as Josh, he seen what we were doing, and he seen my shirt that said Eat, Sleep, Race. And he said pigeons. And in his broken English, he says, "Oh, yes, my grandfather had pigeons." And, I could walk downtown Chicago, New York, Toronto, anywhere in North America, and nobody would say that to me. No young person. So you can see that the young people, it hasn't left their families. It's still all there. It's still back in the family of I seen it in Belgium. I don't know if it's the same in the UK, but this sport can grow. Now, Josh, when you go to school and people know that you're racing pigeons, people at your age, do you think if there was prize money and cars and TVs and people could actually make something out of it, do you think the sport would grow? Do you think you could get a whole whack of people that friends, to participate?
110%. You look at things like they have the esports now, all the electronic games, esports, people can sit at home and they play video games to try and earn money because they can earn money from it. And I think that if pigeons is the same, if you could sit at home and win £1,000, even £5,000 a weekend for racing your pigeons and have a chance, most people would give it a go. And I think most young people would. But now, where young people are supporting families, they don't have the money to spare to buy pigeons, buy pigeon corn, send to races, because they have to put their family first. But if they could win money back and make profit on what they pay out to win back, I think that people would do it, no doubt.
So
Yeah,
go
I was
ahead,
just going to
Darren.
say that I think that there's no incentive for young people to come into the sport in the UK. And it's probably the same, obviously in Belgium, it's probably not as bad as the UK. But then when we went, we was lucky enough to go to Poznan in Poland a few years ago, and the place was absolutely packed, and it wasn't just older people; it was a mixed array of ages. There was young families, husbands, wives, young children, all involved in pigeons. So I think that the actual pigeon sport in going out towards Poland and Romania and them type of countries, that they're actually pushing forward with the sport because there's a lot more incentive for them to race. In the UK, the RPRA, yes, and obviously they do a good job in some aspects, but the show of the year at Blackpool, most of the money goes to charity. Fine, listen, the charity should be supported, but at the end of the day, when the sport is dying, I think I don't know the actual figures, but I think it's about 18,000 RPRA members left. I mean, I can remember as a kid that probably it was 70, 80,000 members. You're talking in a let's just say in a 20, 30-year period, that's diminished to not a lot of RPRA members, and all the money should now be put back into the sport to encourage people to get involved in racing. But there's not, I think they're trying to obviously bring it into schools, etc. But I mean, just in a very small sort of minority, there's nothing to get people to want to race pigeons.
Now, the question I have is, when Josh, when your son got into the sport, you guys got in it together. You came back into it. Josh was there. He goes down to the local club, and obviously, I think he's going to be probably the youngest guy in the club. Josh, how did these older gentlemen? How did they take to you? What was your feeling of a new young person coming in?
Initially, it was okay. There was no there was they were I don't know. You can
I think what you're trying to say is that at the end of the day, youngsters are obviously more tech than obviously the older generation, me included. Josh obviously, you get on a phone or a device, and they know how to work it. Where we're still learning because obviously we wasn't brought up with that technology, and I think a lot of the older generation don't move with the times, and pigeon sport needs to move with the times. And I think sometimes, when Josh is, at the club, listen, they're all there open-hearted. That he's obviously there and he's young and he's keen, and and that's what it should be. But a lot of the time, if Josh says, "Oh, do you want me to do that?" Well, no, because they do, but they don't. They don't want change.
Like, for example, when it comes to ETS, if there's been a couple times where obviously I'm technology minded. I've done computer science. I know how to work a computer, and I've given not advice, but sort of tried to help to print off results or do something like that just to help them out. And they're always very, I can do it myself. Like, no, go away. And then they do. Sometimes they mess it up, or sometimes they can't get it done. But they're very stay away sort of thing.
Well, I guess it is what it is. Hopefully, in the UK, somebody can help put it together and start to implement a bit of a change. I mean, it all starts with, a guy like Josh. You're the perfect. You can be sort of the leader of this, but again, it's very tough to change old ways, and I get it, and I understand it. But I just wanted to get your kind of feel on how the sport is going in the UK. Again, I think still it's great. It's a great sport. It's great to see Josh. You're a third generation now in this, and that's excellent. That's what the sport needs. And congratulations on that, Darren, to produce another pigeon flyer. The pigeons that are in the sale right now are phenomenal. The quality is great. And guys, again, I want to ask you, because you came out of the game, then you got back into it. What was your selection tips on how you did it? How did you really go out and find those pigeons to start? Because, when you're out and you come back in, boy, it's a big world and you're sort of out of that loop. but you guys did it. Now, when you did discuss this, did you pick as a team, or was this Darren, or how did it go? How did it go down?
Well, I think obviously we we're looking for pigeons that were winning straight away. At the end of the day, there's there's pigeons and there's pigeons. There's families and families, but you need the right winning lines from them families to get success. So we can all go and buy a whatever it's called and all have the same pigeons, but you need the ones that win. There's no point in having the same family that are useless. So we looked at families of pigeons with winning results that could back up their pedigree. Pedigrees don't fly, but we tried to buy the best pigeons we possibly could, the pigeons closer to the tree, and we decided that the best way to find the best is to put them on the road. So probably 80% of the pigeons that we purchased, if they wasn't obvious the youngsters, they went on the road, we raced them hard, found the best ones, and then we repeated the same process with other lofts until we found ourselves with a team of pigeons that were second to none, in our opinion, and we could improve them and buy more of the same line and then put them back on the road and keep going until we've got pigeons that are going to win and then are going to breed. And I think what we've done in the last 4.5, 5 years is quite unique, and I think that it's worked for us.
Absolutely, yeah. Question: do you find most of your super racers turn out to be either good breeders, great breeders, or super breeders, or they can't breed at all?
I think that the majority of them have turned out to be very good race. The good races have turned out to be good breeders. For example, you've got Olympic series Jewel. He was 4 times first fed. He was second Olympiad, 4 times first fed, 3 times beaten by Lockman on the track, and now he's gone on to breed 12 times first federation winners. And he's only a 4-year-old pigeon. And there's other examples. You've got 715. You've got Need for Speed, Pure Speed. You've got all these pigeons which have gone on to breed winners, and they're not just breeding winners, they're breeding they're breeders of breeders. Their children are breeding winners as well. And I think that it's hard to find a pigeon that will breed for 3 generations, winning for 3 generations, and most of them have done that.
And also obviously they're producing Olympic pigeons, Olympiad pigeons, and also ace pigeons in the UK. But they've just started obviously the Ace Awards, and straight away in the first year, producing that second ace pigeon and third ace pigeon, Titan game. So I think that what we're trying to achieve is we're trying to reduce the damage and get rid of the bad lines and the bad pigeons by racing them, and basically ending up with something that's we put in the basket and they're going to win, rather than you buy pigeons, you put them in the stock loft, and then 2 years later you realise that they're your bottom of the sheet and they're no good. So we're trying to eliminate that process, speed the process up, and get good winning pigeons from day one.
Okay, question for people that don't understand: what is an Olympiad pigeon? Explain how that works for people who have no clue.
So an Olympiad. So the Olympiad is basically your pigeon races for the season, or maybe over 2 seasons, and you put all your results together and find the best coefficient for the pigeon for the year. You send it to the people who run the Olympiad,
FCI.
the FCI, and basically they find out which is the best pigeon on coefficient base, which in my opinion is the best way to judge a pigeon, because I do know that a lot of ace pigeons are just like, people judge it themselves. They're like, oh, that was the best one. But I think you can't beat coefficient. It's maths. It's the best pigeon on results, and the results don't lie. So you send that forward, and then they release where you were in the positions. I think we were Sarah's Jewel second Olympiad, Need for Speed's third Olympiad, and then the national ace is done the exact same way as the Olympiad. Obviously, they do different coefficient ways of working it out, but again, it's all coefficient.
It's all coefficient, and you guys like how that works. And you guys have the pigeons that seem to do very well in it.
Yeah. We've in 3 seasons we've had 3 different pigeons 4 different pigeons for 2 national ace pigeons, and 2 Olympiad pigeons. Obviously, you can't beat coefficient. It's the result there, and it's not biased for anyone to judge it, and it's the result that's there.
I think the results don't lie. So it's the best. It's the best pigeons over the course of the set amount of races that they obviously use to produce that coefficient. So it's the best of the best, and the results don't lie.
Yeah, 100%. Now, Josh, moving forward here in the next 3 to 5 years, what do you want to see? What are your goals in pigeon sport, Josh? What do you want to see in the next 3 to 5 years for yourself?
Definitely to win the national race, I think, or to win the first Olympiads in the UK. I think that's probably the 2 main goals. We've won everything other than an international, national race, and the first Olympiad. So any of those 3 would be the aim.
That would be that would be a highlight for you. And also, you're looking at expanding into the distance races, correct?
Yes.
And do you think you have a family yet, or are you going to still keep adding to that and bringing in some distance pigeons for that?
Yeah, we've definitely got to keep adding. Obviously, without having the channel, it looks like we're hopefully going to have it this year. We haven't had the channel, so we've got a team there which have done well for what we have raced. I think we were 5th and 6th section Po. One of them was 10th national, 17th national, a few other positions. But we need to push that team further and see what we have left, and then again see what we have, breed around those which have done really well. Hopefully, we get some top positions there, and then keep adding to the family again. Exactly the same, within the exact same way as we did with our sprint family, breeding the pigeons, racing them, and then the performance pigeons go back to stock again to breed around those because they were the best of what we had.
Right,
Yeah,
and
there's more work on doing that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and Darren, what do you see going forward here?
I mean, obviously for me, the last, since obviously we've been back racing since 2016, it's been a phenomenal ride. With the results are superb, and the team performances have been phenomenal. But again, I want to win more. I want to try and step up to a different level and find better pigeons. And then if we can. I mean, I've been trying pigeons obviously against our own, and I can't find anything at the moment that beats them over the sprint trips. And if I can, obviously that would be my goal to continue where we are with them races, because I do prefer the fast races. That's what excites me, and I think that if I can continue doing what we're doing, I think that we'll be in a good place. And if I can find something even faster than what we got, well, it'd be be unstoppable. But you've got to keep trying. You've got to continue to do what we're doing, and continue the hard work, because there's lots of hard work involved. It just doesn't happen. So I think that if I can continue to do that, perhaps put another national win in there, or 2. I mean, wow, it'd be even better.
Another question I've had that lots of people from around the internet have asked me, and it's kind of a tricky one to answer. They want to know, because you guys, especially racing, you guys get big drops. You don't get single pigeons. You get drops. You're always getting the big drops. They want to know, how do you get the drops?
So I mean, it's a difficult question. Personally, I mean, obviously the way that we don't train, really hard, as we, when we was talking, I was telling you, I like to let the pigeons mature. I like the pigeons to love what they're doing, because if you don't like doing something, you don't want to do it. But I think that I do honestly believe that the pigeons that we've got, and when they are sprinting, they're as fast as each other. So they're not racing against the convoy; they're racing against each other. And I think that that's why we get multiple drops, is where they're having their own race. They're having their own race in the race, and I think that's why we have multiple drops.
Josh, what are you thinking? Same thing?
Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah, I think they're racing each other. When they come down, when we see them coming down the road, they're you can see them. They're spread out. They're bothering each other, and they'll drop for us. And they're always trying to get in there first. And I think they are racing each other, and it's that love for home that they're all trying to fight to get home. And I think that, yeah, definitely.
Well, you could definitely see it in your lofts, the loves for the lofts, the setup of your lofts that you guys have put together. It's second to none, and the quality of pigeons. And I think that's, you guys are being honest. But I will say, going to your loft and handling your pigeons and listening to the way you're breeding and the percentages that you guys are looking for, you have a superior quality of pigeon. Your pigeons are on another level. Again, Josh, just to reiterate, your percentages when you guys are breeding, because you have your elite breeders, and then you have your, I don't want to call it second class, but your second level breeders. In your second level breeders, which are still fantastic pigeons, explain what the percentages are you're looking for good racing pigeons out of that group.
Yeah, so we're looking for 80-85% from those, and then from our elite breeders, I think we raced last year 8 youngsters from most of the pairs, and at least 7 would have scored. So nearly 95%, 93%, I think. So yeah, they need to do that.
And I think with those numbers, sorry, go ahead, Darren. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that to get into what we call our elite section, they need to one, be obviously have the performance back in them, and also the breeding record. And I think that's why we can get such a high percentage from that elite breeding section. Obviously, the second section of breeders, some of them are equally as good, but they haven't had the opportunity to get into the elite breeders yet. So there's a lot of stuff that's sitting just behind in the curtains, should we say, and waiting in the outskirts, ready to go in there. And I think that the more that we race and get our performance ourselves, and the more we've got other people that are racing our birds, it gives us a better sort of take on where we're actually sitting on percentage wise. Because at the end of the day, everyone's there to you send to a race to win. And I think that if we can put the right tools together, your percentages can be really, really good.
Yeah, I like to call it stages. So obviously you have stage 1, which is the racers, and then stage 2, which is the secondary breeders, which most of them would have raced themselves and have bred winners. There's some in there which bred 4, 5, 6 bed winners, and then stage 3 is the elite breeders, and then stage 4 is Spider-Man, is base breeder to that sort of level. And hopefully those elite breeders will get to that stage 4 in a few years, because most of them are young. I think most of them in there are 2016 and younger. So they're still only young pigeons which have raced, and the results that they've bred are unbelievable for 2 generations, and sometimes 3 generations. So there is pigeons, like you said, there is pigeons in that stage 2 which are waiting to go into those elite breeders, but they need to prove themselves again breeding for another season, and then they'll go up.
And again, before we started on this interview this evening, which is great here, I'm in Antwerp, and I've been to some really good lofts here, and every loft they go to, I try and remember little things from each guy, or even a pigeon in their loft, and the pigeon you call the blue pied, your super cock there, Sarah's Jewel, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sarah's Jewel. Yep.
Yes. I see that character of that pigeon when Josh and myself did the videos of him, and I just seen the way he acted and the characteristic of him, and I've seen in other gentlemen's lofts supreme super birds act the exact same way. I've only seen the bird 1 time or 2 times, Sarah's Jewel, but you could see the intelligence level, a different level, and the calmness. And now that is again a super racer for you, and now a super breeder. And it's really interesting to see in Belgium, in Ireland, and in the UK, you can see the similarities in these super pigeons.
Yeah, I do find that in good pigeons, the vitality they have, and you can see the intelligence in them. And again, most of our elite breeders, you go up there, and I put a video on Facebook. There was of Sarah's Jewel, and most of the cocks in there will do that, and they fight your hand, and they don't want you there, and they've got that little attitude to them, and a bit of intelligence. And I do find that very, very good racers and breeders have that, like you said.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
just think that. I mean, sorry, a good pigeon will be have something different to the next pigeon. You know, I mean, it stands out from the crowd, and I think that if you can find that, then you
It's its own little personality.
yeah, the little personality the little traits that they have that's different from something else.
yeah, and you know, I have people that ask me, well, how do you find this, and how can you tell? And I mean, the only thing I ever say is you've got to really put time into the pigeons, and you got to watch, and you have to watch. In my opinion, you have to watch for the pigeons that are a little bit different. They're not odd, but they're a little bit different. They do different things. Do you guys find that as
Yeah.
well? Like at what point? I mean, at what point did you already know Sarah's Jewel was going to be where it was at before it started winning, or was it already showing you signs?
Me and my mum actually picked him as a youngster. So when we weaned him over, and we obviously me and my little sister would always feed them by hand when they were little, and always play with them. And my mum come in one day, and I liked him, and there was his brother there as well, and they were both lovely pigeons. And my mum went, I really like that pigeon, and it was just out of so many youngsters, we both picked this same pigeon, and that's why he's called Sarah's Jewel after my mum. So that it was from maybe 40 days old that we had picked him. And then as a youngster, he went on to win. And then obviously he was the Olympiad pigeon. And as a yearling, went on and won again, won more federations. And now he's breeding again.
Yeah, I think pigeons. I think pigeons will tell you and show you of their quality and their and what they've got. You know, inside. I mean, I can remember as a kid with my dad, and we'd sit there looking at the pigeons, and he'd say, "That pigeon there, that win this week," and I would sort of sit there and look at it and think, "What's he looking at?" You know. And then over the years, he'd teach me and tell me the little traits to look for, and now I do. You know, obviously I do the same, and obviously you know I'm sort of passing that on to Josh and you know, I think pigeons have their own personalities and their own traits, and when they're good, they're very good, you know. And I think that that's what you just got to watch out what they do, and that they tell you when they're fit, they tell you when they're you know certain pigeons will do certain things at certain times of the year, and if you know what you're looking for, you know you'll be in a good place.
Yeah, and you know, when we talk here, and I've talked to a lot of different top quality pigeon guys, big winners. It's all the same in a very positive light. Not one guy wins out of the bottle. They're not using the medication, and you guys are a lot the same way. It can't be one in a bottle, and I think people don't believe it, but you guys aren't heavy medicators.
No, as I say, you know, we will treat our pigeons before the racing season starts or the breeding season with the same thing that any other fancier would use, you know, for canker, copsy, you know, worm or respiratory, exactly as anyone else. But throughout the season, we very rarely will treat the pigeons only if we think they need it. You know, only treat if necessary. I mean, I had a friend that you know went to the vet and said to him, you know, what do you treat for this? And his answer to me was you know, when you're ill, what do you take? And I said, what, a Lemsip? He said, would you take a Lemsip today? And I was like, well, no. He says, then why would you give it to the pigeons? So we've used that as our sort of way of racing. We only treat if we need to. And, you know, you don't win out of the bowl. I mean, the looking for that magic potion that's going to make them go faster, it's not there. You know, you can't make a bad pigeon good. You know, you know, a good pigeon is a good pigeon and if you get a super, then you know you've cracked it. But there's nothing in the bottle. You know, we don't medicate, as I say, throughout the season. We try to keep pigeons healthy and in the best possible form that we could get them into, and the results prove that. You know, and I think that the more antibiotics and the more stuff that you put in, you reduce their immune system, and eventually it stop working anyway. So if it ain't broke,
Right.
don't fix it.
And another question for you, Darren. I know your dad, your father, John. He's a great pigeon man. Did supremely well. when he put the birds into the basket and went to work with them. But back in his days, late, maybe 25 or 30 years ago, whatever, farther back, did you find they used more medication or was it the same?
Just really the same, I mean, we always, as when my dad was teaching me about the ways of pigeon racing and the do's and the don'ts. We never really ever, was heavy medicators. I mean, some people do, and that's their own choice. I think that he always taught me that less is more, and I think we've always used that saying, less is more, whether it's medication, training, just generally around the pigeons, less is more for us, and it works for us. I mean, I don't think that 30 years ago with my dad is no different to what we do now. So just obviously feeding is different. We do obviously feed different to then, and we do a few things differently, but it's medication. No, it's the same.
And the other thing that I like that you guys, you don't sit still with the pigeons. You're constantly, we talked about it earlier, but you're constantly looking to bring in something to beat your own pigeons. You're not satisfied. You're not sitting still. We've already said, oh, you're going to be in Europe here. You're going to be in Belgium or in Holland in the next couple of weeks. You want to meet up? And I'm looking at your records and I'm going to myself, wow, you don't need to add any pigeons. But really, I'm looking at it the wrong way, correct?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we just want to continue to strive and get better, and I think that the only way, use football for example, that a team gets better because they add new players, and when you're looking for new pigeons and you're adding to the team, and yeah, some players and some of the pigeons that you bring in are not good enough, and they don't cut they don't cut it. But I think that if you can find something that beats your own, then you're in a good place. Especially when you're winning the results are good and the performances are good and you're getting top performances. If you can find something to beat it, then you're in a good place. But we continually strive to find that better product, basically.
Well, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I want to again take this moment to thank you, Darren, Josh, for allowing me into your home to sit down, do the interview, go through the birds, have a super collection of pigeons for this auction. It's going to be great. The quality of the pigeons is outstanding. You guys are absolutely first class. And again, Darren, I want to say your father, he is awesome. I enjoyed speaking with him, full of knowledge. And again, I will say, Darren, congratulations to you. You produced Josh. And now it's another pigeon flyer. I already said to Josh, he's got big boots to fill because can he make the fourth generation? That's going to be the tricky one.
That's the one. I mean, look, he's lucky. I mean, I had a good teacher in my dad, but he's lucky he gets both of us. So he gets two lots of knowledge. So hopefully, when it comes down to his time, then he'll have even more. So yeah, that's good.
Well, hey, guys, thank you very much for taking this time for us. We appreciate it. You guys are number one. Remember, guys, where do you guys go to bid? Feathers Elite Pigeon Auctions, Fepa.ca, FepaUK.com. Thank you guys very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.